My wife left me while I cared for my dying father, then came crawling back after he made me a millionaire. So, I'm a 36-year-old guy, been married for 8 years, and I've got 2 kids. I'm also the only son of my dad, who's been having kidney problems for years. Lately, things have gotten worse, and he needs dialysis twice a week. He used to handle the trip by himself, but over the last year, he's been asking me to go with him more often because he's getting weaker. Now, I've made it a routine to always take him for his treatments. I just can't leave him alone like this. We've got it scheduled for Saturdays and Wednesdays. Saturdays are cool because it's my day off, but I had to get my boss's permission to leave early on Wednesdays. Thankfully, my boss is chill about it since I've been at the company for a decade and he knows I work hard. I just make up the hours later. The hitch, though, is with my wife, Ale. When she found out I was taking Dad for dialysis regularly, she wasn't thrilled. She didn't like it even when I went occasionally, but now she's more vocal about it. She thinks it's useless since my dad's never been impressed with me anyway. Here's a bit of backstory. Dad used to have a successful merchandising business and was financially well off. He wanted me to follow in his footsteps, but I was more into tech. Coding and developing software were my jam. So, when it was time to choose a career, I went for a degree in software, not business. Dad didn't mind at first, but he hoped I'd still join his company. But after graduating, I got a job at a big tech firm, and Dad wasn't happy about that. He tried one last time after I got married, but I said no. So he got mad and said he'd donate his wealth to charity instead of leaving it to me. I was doing well, bought a car and a house by 29, so I told him I didn't need his money. This soured our relationship for a while. Things changed when Mom passed away from cardiac arrest 5 years ago. That hit Dad hard, and it brought us closer again. I started visiting him with the kids, and we reconnected. He eventually handed his company over to a trust. My wife wasn't close to my folks even when Mom was around, and she had her issues with them. So, when Dad said he'd cut me out of his will, Ale didn't hold back. She thought it was unfair and evil. I told her my relationship with Dad was my business, but she argued it affected our future and the kids. I reassured her that we'd be alright without Dad's money, but she wouldn't let it go. Now, with my dad's dialysis, Ale's making things tough. Every Saturday, she comes up with plans at home or parties, or even just cleaning marathons. I've tried explaining that Saturdays are off limits for plans since I need to take Dad for treatment, but she doesn't budge. She then gets mad when I'm late or miss her plans. This happens on Wednesdays too. It's been a lot to juggle, but I feel like I have to be there for Dad since he lost Mom and doesn't have anyone else nearby. So, basically, I told my boss I'd catch up on work later that night after taking my dad to dialysis. But every Wednesday, without fail, my wife always magically has something to do, like meeting friends or hitting up a random party. That leaves me juggling everything, cooking, feeding the kids, and trying to maybe squeeze in some work. All this after a long day and a trip to the dialysis center. My dad even suggested just letting the nurse handle things because he sees me rushing around like crazy. But I still feel guilty not spending more time with him. It's like a half-hour drive to the center, and I used to love those chats with my dad about the good old days. But lately, it's just about getting back as fast as possible because of all the drama at home. I'm often pushing my luck, zipping through traffic to save time. Yet, I don't want to give up those moments with Dad. Now, my wife isn't making it any easier. She's trying to convince me that since Dad's cut me out of his will, I'm wasting my time and energy. I don't get her logic. It's not all about what you get in return. And then she goes off, saying her parents were way better. Every time I come back from dialysis, especially on Wednesdays and Saturdays, an argument kicks off. It's getting uglier, even in front of the kids. She's even tried turning the kids against me and my dad, which is insane. So, I just don't bark back anymore, I ignore her rants. But it's tough. I can't just ditch my dad because he's not living forever, and he's in pretty rough shape now. He's getting weaker, needs help walking to the car, and he's having trouble breathing. So, I've slowed down, taking my time to help him. Honestly, who cares if I'm late coming home? I'm going to face the chaos anyway. Last night was the tipping point. My wife said it's time to pick a side, her or my dad. I tried explaining that Dad's not going to be around much longer, given his condition, but it doesn't seem to matter. So, here's what happened. My dad wasn't doing too well, and it was pretty obvious he didn't have much time left. When I told my partner about it, she hit me with a super blunt reply: "You need to choose carefully between someone who's going to be with you forever or someone who's going to die soon." That was just harsh. I couldn't believe she'd say something so insensitive. I shot back, telling her I'd rather stick by my dad's side than be with someone so thoughtless and self-centered. She packed her bags and left, and honestly, I didn't try to stop her. We both needed some space, and her being gone gave me room to breathe. In her absence, I juggled the house, my kids, my dad, and my job. Oddly enough, I felt more relaxed with her gone. Then, out of the blue, she sent over divorce papers. I kinda saw it coming but didn't expect it so soon. I was shocked at first, but there was also this sense of relief. I signed them without a second thought and sent them back. Surprisingly, she didn't even ask for custody of our kids, which was my only real worry. When she got the papers, she called me, yelling about how I didn't call her to talk it over. Funny, right? Her mom even got on the phone, saying I should have manned up and tried to win her back. But why would I? She wanted out, and I agreed. I even pointed out she didn't want the kids, and she said I could keep everything. Her mom said she was too young to handle the responsibility of children. Fine by me, I'm happy I have my kids with me. Sure, it's a relief, but I worry about the kids missing their mom, especially the younger one. It's tough balancing everything alone, but I'm hopeful I'll get through it. Update time. We moved in with my dad, and it turned out to be a fantastic decision. Thanks for the suggestions, everyone. My dad loved having the kids around, and they adored spending time with their grandpa. Dad had a full-time caregiver who agreed to help with the kids too. Best deal ever. Seeing Dad happy and playing with the kids was heartwarming. My ex never saw this coming. She thought divorce would mess up my life. But look, everything fell into place, and I'm the one having the last laugh. But then, some sad news. Dad passed away last week in his sleep. It was peaceful, he went to bed happy after a day with the grandkids and just didn't wake up. The doctor said he was content, and our move-in with him probably gave him extra time. Losing him is tough, but I'm grateful he had a joyful end with us. The kids miss him too, but they're handling it well, thanks to the values Grandpa taught them. They talk about how life goes on and how proud they are to have learned that from him. They're my rock right now. Then came another twist. Dad's lawyer reached out about his will. I thought Dad had left everything to a trust, and I was prepared for that. But when I met the lawyer and the trust members, I was in for a surprise. Turns out, I was always his heir. Dad left me his business, house, and wealth. The lawyer said Dad never changed his will, I was his choice all along. It hit me hard, realizing Dad never abandoned me, he wanted me to carry on his legacy. I was still a mess, crying my eyes out, when Dad's lawyer tried to calm me down. I told him it killed me to think I'd hurt Dad throughout his life, even though he always had my back. But then the lawyer shared something amazing. Dad was really proud of me for not ditching my passion, despite his pressure. He actually admired that I was willing to give up our family wealth to chase my dreams. Hearing that hit me hard. Apparently, Dad had left me in charge of the business. If I want, I can pull it out of the trust and run it myself. I'm seriously considering it. I did my own thing with Dad's quiet support, and now it feels like time to return the favor by growing the business to the heights he always dreamed of. When I got home, I told my kids about Grandpa's will. He even left some of his wealth to them for when they turn 18. We went to his grave with flowers, soaking in the peace. It's been such an emotional time for me. About a month after Dad passed, I decided to dive into his business and community work, starting by quitting my job. We moved into my parents' house because the kids feel close to Grandpa there, and honestly, it's packed with my childhood memories. I didn't want to leave either. Once word got out that I had inherited Dad's fortune, long-lost relatives, friends, and neighbors started popping by. But guess who showed up unexpectedly? My ex-wife, Ale, with her parents. They acted like they didn't know Dad had died, saying they would have come to the funeral if they had. Her parents sang Dad's praises, while Ale hugged the kids and cried about missing them. I asked why she never visited them over the past 78 months if she missed them so much. Her excuse was the house was locked. I called her out, asking why she didn't contact me to check on the kids. She had nothing to say. Ale's parents suggested we get back together for the children's sake since now Dad was gone, and they'd be alone when I'm at work. I laughed. My kids needed her most when she left, and they've adjusted without her. No way am I letting her back into my life. She started crying. Her parents left us alone, and she begged for reconciliation, claiming she loved me and missed the kids. I laughed, telling her she loved Dad's money, not me. She and her parents were just after the cash. She even called Dad greedy and mean during the divorce. No chance she'd see a dime of his hard-earned money. She got mad about what I said about her parents and threatened to take what's rightfully hers. She hadn't demanded anything during the divorce but now wanted half of Dad's wealth. I told her to do her worst, I wouldn't give her a penny. Discussing this with my lawyer, he said her chances were slim since the divorce settled a year before the inheritance. Plus, the kids are with me, so she can't claim anything. He did warn me to be careful if she spends time with the kids, she might try to manipulate them and file for custody, then use them for money. Lately, I've been spending a ton of time with my kids, helping them cope with losing grandpa, so they don't run to Ale for support. Taking over dad's company has given me more flexibility to balance work and personal life. I'm planning a vacation in the Bahamas with the kids. They totally deserve it after everything. It's not about spending dad's money, I could afford it before but never had the time. Now I do, and I'm taking them on this trip. As for Ale, she hasn't been in touch since that visit. I think she's busy trying to find a lawyer to take her case.